Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Parenthood Podcast Uncut. So this is a solo episode which is not edited, so you get the real deal. If I stuff up, you'll know about it. And I'm currently on tour. I have just landed in Austin, Texas after quite the journey from Melbourne. And yeah, these episodes are basically a little mini series and some of my thoughts on the trip that I'm currently having. And I'm giving them to you in real time as they happen. So, all right, I think where we left off was I was getting ready to get on that flight to the US, and so I purposely left at 5:30 in the morning from home, and I was a couple of hours early to the airport. But I just thought, you know what, it's just going to be easier than doing the big goodbye to like the whole family and everyone tearing up, including myself. So I thought, as I often do, if I go to work or whatever, I'm often out of the house quite early, and the kids are used to that. I thought I'll do take a similar approach. So I left in after saying goodbye to the kids in the evening. I said, Mum's going in the morning, so we'll be in touch after that. I go to the airport and I'm sitting there and I'm at one of the Axel coffee roasters little cafes doing some work, which was great. Checking that I had my passport, I feel like every other minute. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so incredibly paranoid about my passport and like it falling out of my bag or like it becoming non-existent. And I guess because that's the one piece of documentation you really need, I'm just like crazy about it. So like every 5 minutes I'll reach into my bag and like touch my passport. I was also really nervy about like going through the security checks. I know this sounds really ridiculous, but like I was even like nervy because it's been a minute since I've been overseas. I think I haven't been away for at least a good year on an international flight. And I was like, particularly going into the US, like I was just like, ever since the morning, I was like contemplating everything. For example, I was there, I'd opened my laptop at the coffee roasters, I'm doing some work. I reach into my laptop bag and I see a paperclip and I went, is that going to be problematic to take on the plane? Because technically, if you unravel the paper clip, there's points on each end, and will the Americans consider that like a weapon on the plane? Like, because you could poke at someone with like the pointiness of the paper clip. And oh my God, that makes me realize, what about that, my tongue scraper? I have like this kind of like copper steel, I don't know what it is, but like a hard material tongue scraper that I use for my tongue to clean my tongue. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's in my carry-on. Is that problematic? Would they see that as like a weapon, And then, oh, actually, that reminds me of the fact that I've actually got, those things you use for your SIM, to take a SIM out of your phone. It's like a pointy little thing to get into the hole so that the SIM card can pop out. I had that in my laptop case. Would that be considered a weapon because it's pointy on the end, but not like, and I literally, my mind was going everywhere. I was like, so like, what's a weapon and what's like considered appropriate on a plane and what's not? And oh my God, I'm going to get stopped at every fucking, excuse the language. Actually, let's be real. This is the podcast we've sworn more than once on this podcast over the last 4 years. But yeah, am I literally going to be stopped at every point because I have a paperclip on me? Like I just went down this rabbit hole because I was like, the US is no freaking joke, and I don't want to be stopped anywhere. Like, so, anyway, long story short, you can take paper clips on flights, guys. Just like in case you were wondering, I actually made it through and it was fine. But oh my gosh, the flight itself, let me fill you in. So my friend I was very fortunate. She upgraded me to business class because she had a whole heap of points. So I was incredibly grateful to her. I have to say, I flew not United, and the business class wasn't overly fancy, but it was just nice to be able to lie flat. Anyway, we leave in the morning, and I feel like that's a really tough flight because you're almost like you want to sleep so that you feel well rested on the 15-hour flight across. But at the same time, if you stay awake, it's a long time to stay awake. I arrived in Austin it turned out to be very late because there was a massive delay flying. I flew to San Francisco direct from Melbourne, and then there was a massive delay at Austin Airport. I'll get to that. But anyway, so it was an awkward time, and my thoughts were, okay, I want to feel well rested when I get to the States, so I'll bring my sleeping pills, etc. Anyway, a couple of hours into the flight, I'm watching Just Like That Sex and the City spin-off with just Sarah Jessica Parker, getting myself all ready for like my New York experience. And then I look at the clock and I'm like, oh, I reckon I should try and sleep now. So I was like, great, you know what I'll do? I'll just ask them for like a tequila. I need something hard. I'll wash it down with my sleeping pill. Should be all good. So anyway, asked for my tequila. It tastes awful, by the way. I do love tequila and I love good tequila and I'll sip on it, but this was not good tequila. But anyway, I was like, it will do the job. It's alcohol. So I'm sipping on this tequila that tastes like petrol. I pop my sleeping pill and I'm waiting for it to take effect. And I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And I glance up and I've watched 2 more episodes of this Just Like That. It's been 2 hours and I'm still nowhere near close to falling asleep. So I was like, all right, what do you do? Well, the sensible thing to do would just be like, be patient and let the sleeping pill kick in. But you know what I did? I went, I reckon I'll just have 1 more tequila, 1 more sleeping pill, and then that should do the job. Impatiently only. So, bing, put my little light on, attention over here. Thank you, people. Air hostess walks up. How can I help you? Just another tequila, please. Would you like that as a single or a double? Make it a double. Great, no problem. She comes back with a double of this like petrol smelling substance. And I was like, all right, this has got to do the trick. So I pop another sleeping pill, have my tequila, and it did do the trick because I did pass out, but it also meant that 4 hours or 5 hours later when I was woken up, I have never felt so groggy in my life, because this is the thing with the sleeping pills. If you have them too late into the trip, there's this element of this grogginess when you wake up, and the pharmacist even reminded me that as well. They said, understand that you don't want to be taking these too often, and here I am popping 2. Gosh, honestly, I'm thinking I don't have kids to look after. This is fine. I'm just looking after myself. I'm basically like, this is amazing. Yeah, I'll just pass out and I'll wake up and I've only got myself to take care of. Anyway, so I wake up groggy as hell and I'm sitting there and they're like, we're about to land. So I'm like, put the seat up and I'm like, oh, really? Probably could go to the bathroom now, but seatbelt lights back on. It's all good. I'll just go to the bathroom when I get to the airport. I don't love plane bathrooms anyway. Anyway, get off the plane. Oh, I should probably go to that bathroom. It's feeling like I could really feel that pressure in my bladder. All good, all good. I'll just walk out to the airport. There'll definitely be toilets before we hit customs. For those of you flying into San Francisco, flying United, if you ever do, can I tell you one word of advice? Go to the freaking toilet on the plane, because you'll be surprised to know that there are no toilets until you go past customs. So there I am with a tidal wave of people behind me. I'm looking for the toilets. There's people everywhere. You know what it's like. And I was literally like, okay, I look at the line to customs and they're like, American citizens this way, international this way. And there's like, I don't know, 500 people in the international line. And I'm thinking, you have got to be kidding me. And then I'm like, it's all good. I'm an adult. I can hold my bladder. Like, how hard could this be? Aren't you so lucky you don't have kids? You don't have distractions. All you have to do is hold your bladder. Easy peasy. So there I stand. The line is going at snail pace. I'm looking around me. There's more pressure on my bladder. And I'm thinking, I really don't have any options here, because I'm not going to go back on the plane. They're not going to let me use that toilet. There's no toilet where I am now. I can't exactly go while I'm in this line. So I just have to hold it. Snail pace was just creeping up to literally, and then there are more people that get shoved in the line. So now I'm feeling claustrophobic, and then I'm feeling a bit groggy from the sleeping pill and that petrol tequila, and I'm just trying to stand up. Then I'm like, I can't literally stand up. So I start crouching down over my suitcase, and then we're moving up, snail pace. And as I'm crouching down, I'm like, whoa, my head's spinning. I literally feel like I'm about to pass out. Then this beautiful Aussie in the line, this mother, sort of leans forward. She was a few people back, and she taps me because I'm literally head down, crouched down, squeezing my bladder as tight as it could possibly be, and thinking, just hold it in. You're nearly there. You're nearly there. Meanwhile, there's like I don't know, at this point, 70 people in the line in front of me. I'm like, you're nearly there. Just breathe, breathe, breathe. Anyway, so she comes up and she's like, she sort of taps me on the shoulder, are you okay? And I look up at her and the room's just spinning at this point because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just so hot in here. How did it get so hot? I'm like, yeah, I don't feel very well. My stomach, it doesn't feel. She goes, okay, let me see if I can get someone to help. We're looking around. There's no one. There's just masses of people everywhere. We can't find any airport people to sort of usher me forward. And so then eventually she started, like, what an absolute gem, started saying to the people in front of me, excuse me, would you mind if this lady goes in front of you? She doesn't feel well. Meanwhile, I'm like crouched down over my suitcase and everyone's like, yeah, sure, she can go in front. So I was like, well, that's one way to cut a line. Also, my public service announcement, just pretend you have a stomach ache. In my case, I had a crazy stomach ache and I thought my whole entire being was going to explode because I needed to go to the toilet so badly. And I like get ushered through because of these absolute legit humans who are like, shit, she doesn't look great. Anyway, I finally get to the front of the line and I'm just crouched over, I can barely stand up. And then eventually the customs official waves me over to the desk and he's like, ma'am, can you stand up straight and look at the camera, please? And excuse my crappy American accent. I'm just trying to give you, the real vibe of the situation. Anyway, so I'm like, oh, I have to stand. I'm like, far out. I reckon if I stand, I'm going to explode. I was like, Leonie, you can do this. One of the most challenging moments of my life, everyone. Anyway, I managed to stand upright and he's like, ma'am, are you feeling okay? I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry. I've just got a really bad stomach ache. And bless him. You know how they usually, I don't know if any of you have traveled to America before, but they usually hit you with a barrage of questions at those customs. How long are you staying here? Where are you staying? When are you leaving? Why are you here? He looks at me, takes the photo and goes, ma'am, where will you be traveling to? I was like, I'm looking at like the room spinning and I'm like, San Francisco, and Austin. He's like, okay, you know what? You could go. Just go. And I was like, oh my God. So I grab my suitcase and I am running. I'm running through, like literally people would have been like, I'm knocking people over. I'm running. I'm like out of my way. I'm about to burst. I get to the outdoor area and I'm like, okay, looking up like restrooms. Where are they? Anyway, run into the toilet, like make it just in time. And literally, like, what a freaking achievement. I've never felt so relieved to have gone to the toilet in my life. I walked out of the restrooms a new person. I was like, oh my gosh. And guys, by the way, it's not like I did anything dramatic in the toilets. It's just a feeling of relief, right? When you've been holding something in, and I don't know if this is way too much personal information, but for those listening in, I think you probably know me well enough now that I am a bit of an open book. So I'll be wrapping up this toilet story very shortly. But basically, I stride out like a freaking boss bitch that I am, and I'm like, I've got this. Like that was a mess. That's not how I want to start my trip. But now let's start it anew. I'm ready for this, America. What you got? I was so excited. I got my luggage. It arrived. I was like, yes, just going to go to the gate for my next flight. Oh, perfect timing. I get there, and they're like, delay 3 hours. Now, that meant I'd have to be sitting there in this airport for a total of about 7 hours because I'd allowed like plenty of time between flights. And I'm sitting there going, okay, this is another hurdle, but this is one I feel I can overcome. So I'm like, I've got no children. I've got no responsibilities. I don't feel like I need to go to the toilet right now. So that's a freaking win in itself. So I was like, right, all you have to do is kill 7 hours. Now, I would have liked to have done work and said that I achieved all these goals, but really I sat there and I watched Gilmore Girls and I drank a bit of water and I just kind of like hung out for a period until 7 hours went by and then it was time to hop on the next plane. At which time they offered alcohol and I said, no, thank you very much. I learned that lesson. And off we went to Austin. It was a bit weird coming in, I have to say, and this is probably just a note to those who travel by themselves, but when you arrive, I arrived at, I don't know, like call it 11 o'clock at night, got through the airport and got into a cab. I've still got to sort out my US SIM tomorrow and get data. I feel like if you don't have data, it's like you basically don't exist because you can't do anything. You can't pay for things because I can't usually use my phone to pay for things. I can't get Ubers. So anyway, I hop in a cab. And, we're going through some dark streets of Austin and part of me was like, this guy could be a serial killer and I could die right now. Like, I don't know, like anything can happen. Like, there's just sort of a feeling of unsettledness. It's like new place, dark streets, bumpy roads. I'm looking at Google's maps, making sure that, oh no, no, sorry, I wasn't looking at Google Maps. That was another trip that when I was going to the airport, I thought he'd taken a wrong turn. So I pull up Google Maps and I'm like, no, no, all good. But so yeah, I didn't even have Google Maps. So I was kind of like trusting this guy was going to take me to my destination. Something I probably would have felt less concerned about if I was, for example, traveling with Jules, my husband, or a friend. You kind of know that there's two of you. So that was like a little bit of an edgy feeling. But basically, as I approached, I did put data. I did the mobile data that cost me, that one that cost you about $170 a second when you activate it. I was just kind of like, because I was feeling so edgy towards the back end and it said you're only 5 minutes away. And I'm like, what if this guy's going to take me to a weird place where they're going to rob me and I'm going to be left standing there with nothing but my passport in my hand. So I was just like, I'm just going to check that we're going in the right direction and activated mobile data and it was all good. Obviously, I made it in one piece. But I say that because it is just these weird thoughts that sometimes we can have when we are traveling alone, as opposed to when we've got the kids and everyone's screaming and you're more concerned about them versus your own security. But I'm so excited to tackle Austin now that I'm here. I've always wanted to come to Texas, so I absolutely can't wait. I'm staying with a friend of mine they're a Melbourne couple and one of my very good friends. So they moved here about 3 years ago. So I'm so pumped to see what this town is all about. I can't wait to report back in our next episode. But in the meantime, I would love it if you aren't already. Please feel free to follow us on Instagram at Parenthood Pod. POD, and I'll pop those details in the show notes as well. And also, if you haven't already, it would be amazing if you could rate us and leave a review on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts or however you get your podcast. It just enables us to reach more and more people and spread the word all about parenthood. We will be in touch soon. Take care.